Yes. Oh, brilliant. All right, so I'll get started. Today, it's basically what you guys want to have any questions that you want to ask. What I can do is I'll just introduce myself and just talk about how I got into the industry and what companies I've worked for. And there's some books and stuff, some slides I can share with you that I want to recommend. But yeah, I'll just get started by introducing myself. My name's Opi Chaggar. I'm an animator at Scopely, which is a Genjoy company, it's a mobile games company now. But I started off as a freelancer in London when I graduated. I didn't get a job for like about a year. So I worked for free in London for about 6-7 weeks. And I managed to get into this company called Clear. I did some post-production work, film, rotoscoping, boring stuff, but it's just enough to just get into the industry and get some experience. And then I managed to get a job. I applied for Ninja Theory. I actually applied for a junior animator. When I got there, they said that we like your environment modeling, because when I wasn't getting a job, I was working at home on my final project, and I was living with my mum and dad, and I was just making my short film, and they liked the environment stuff. So they said, why don't you come in as an environment artist, and then we put you in as a junior animator, which they did. And then I just went on to, then my contract ended. I went on to EA as a character animator on Harry Potter, and then I did like Animation Mentor, had a little break, did an animation course. And then while I was doing that course, I got an opportunity to go to California, San Diego. An agent on a recruiter on LinkedIn saw my profile and it was all to do with timing as well. So it was good timing. They were hiring a lot of people from Europe. So back then I was 25. So yeah, I just wanted to go and take that opportunity. So I went there, was there for about 3 years. I worked for High Moon Studios, and we worked on the Bourne Conspiracy game. And we worked on Dark Watch, which wasn't released, Dark Watch 2, sorry. And then I worked at Tryon, and we worked on an MMO game called Rift. And then I came back, I lost my job, the crash happened. Unfortunately, I lost my job, I had to come back. But then I got a job at Sony working on Motorstorm Apocalypse for about 6 months. And then ended up at Warner Brothers for Traveler's Tales, working on a series of Lego games. Let me see if I can share these files. You can see my Lego games that I've worked on. And these are like the games, the normal games as well that I've worked on. You got an idea. And and then after that, just recently, 3 months ago, I was there for 12 years, and I just wasn't. And I'll talk more about this when we do the course. But there was a lot of politics and stuff, and I wasn't getting promoted. And then I got 3 offers for a senior position as an animator. So then I just left. I went to Genjoy as a senior animator, and that's where I am now. It's mobile games, it's not console games, so it's a bit different because I was using Unreal at the time. Now I'm using Unity. A bit more simpler, but there is a lot more of a faster turnover. Like, you got to get work done really quickly. And I guess I was used to that working on Lego, because in Lego we were working on 3 games a year when I first started. So, and it was really bad crunch back then. But also the industry is kind of better now at that. But that's in a nutshell my experience. So if anyone has any questions, and then later on I can share some other slides with you guys. Oh, I'll send you my show reel as well so you can see my work. Any questions, anyone? About anything, could be about anything. Type it in, or I'll share. What I'll do then, I'll share some books that I want to recommend to you guys too. This is a good book for gesture drawing. When I was living in the States, I used to go to this art class every week, and we used to do quick gesture drawings, which was like 1 minute, just drawings, looking at something and putting it down. And the idea is you need to basically, what's this question? Sorry. You need to capture the gesture within a minute. So that's like for animation poses and stuff. I don't know if I'm studying on Animation Mentor. That isn't something I'm looking. Animation Mentor, I started when it first came out. This was way back in, I think it was a year later it came out, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Absolutely amazing. I learned everything about animation very clearly on that, because the mentors I had were actual mentors who work in the industry while they're teaching us. And I had Jason Schreiber who worked on Gollum, Lord of the Rings. I had Steve Cady who worked on Avatar. Don Crumb from Pixar, and they were all giving their little gems on how to get your animation to that next level. So one mentor in particular, you'll always get a teacher who makes something click for you. One mentor was Steve Cady, and he made me realize that in animation everything is about the bouncing ball, and I stress that a lot when I teach at universities. The bouncing ball, I know at the start it might feel a bit weird, or why am I animating a bouncing ball? I want to animate characters, but if you can master that fundamental of why the bouncing ball is so important, it just makes your animation journey so much easier, fun, and enjoyable. So, but I would definitely recommend it. It's gone a bit up in price now. I had friends do iAnimate as well, which is really good, and also Anim School. All of them have great reviews. Because I've only done Animation Mentor, I highly recommend that one. I'll send you these as well. These books are really good. But these books are more to do with it's all good like being a good artist and have you, but when you get into the real world, unfortunately, school and unis, they don't prepare us for the real world, what really goes on. So, this is more to do with all the politics and stuff you got to deal with. So books like 48 Laws of Power are really good. And Mastery, working on your own discipline, War on Art is also really good. When we, as artists, we always suffer from that procrastination. So this kind of book talks about that resistance that we always have every day, that we have to fight with, that we're always battling. So these 3 books are really helpful. 48 Laws of Power is good because it's got a lot of criticism, that book, but that book is basically about not having these tricks played on you at work. And I think it's very important to be aware of them, so when people are doing it or not. It's all good being good artists too, which is brilliant, but there's also a political side that people don't really talk about in the games industry, which I kind of mention in a lot of my talks. Any other questions, you guys? Do you want to talk a bit about animation? How my kind of workflow is? I can talk about that if you like. There's a question coming in. Let's check this out. What's this? So in Animation Mentor, I'll just talk about Animation Mentor. Basically, the thing there is, would love to know about the animation workflow in the industry. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so the workflow in the industry is so we get a character. The character has default sets. Every studio is different, right? And they have default sets and they have different anim sets. So you could have a character, for example, worked on Wolverine for Lego Marvel. So you can have a character that has this default set, which will be his walk, run, idle, idle 2, idle 3. Excuse me. They had tiptoes for some reason. I don't know why they took that out near the end. And that's like your basic set. But because it's a special character, I have another set called special animation and special moves, and then you'll do that as well. You'll do like a separate set for that, and then you might have a character that flies, so you have a separate set for that. So there's all these different separate anim sets, they call them. So that's the workflow. And once you do that, once you do like an animation, a walk, run, idle, then you have an exporter within Maya or whatever 3D software you're using. And that basically you export the timeline of your animation. Once you export it, you bring it into an engine, and then you can see how the game works. You can test it in the game and see how that is. Same with Unity as well. We were working on an in-house software called CAT. A lot of studios have in-house as well. They don't just use Unreal or Unity. Some of them are good, some of them are really bad. You may have read about Star Wars Lego being delayed so much. I mean, I can talk about it now, but the engine was so bad. It was just, they were creating a game while they were creating an engine, and you never do that. It's either, you never do the same things both in development. And that resulted in a high staff turnover. A lot of people left the company. And now, afterwards, they've gone back to Unreal, which they should have done in the first place. So that's the process. It's animating, exporting, putting it in game, and testing it for an animator. That's really what you have to do. And if you get a special animation, normally what you do is you go up to design, programming. For example, there were some boss fights I had to do, and we had to figure that out. So I would talk to design first with my ideas. I said, I'm thinking of doing this, thinking of doing that. And the design would say, oh, this works, that works, this may not work. So you narrow down ideas like that. Then you work with mechanics, programming. Say, all right, can we get this animation to work this way, that way? So it's kind of you're kind of compromising both ways to get the idea you want to get across. How did you find animating Lego? Because that's pretty stylized. Do you have any main challenges? Yeah, with Lego games is very restricted because we had people from Denmark, Lego, coming over. There's certain things you couldn't do. You couldn't put the legs out, so you can't see the inside of the legs, the armpits, unless there's a really quick movement. You can stretch the character, but not too much. It was fun to animate Lego, but there were restrictions. Like on Rift, I animated like realistic stuff, which was stylized, which I found better. Like realistic stuff is all right, but you have motion capture and performance capture for that, which is fine. But I always believed I got into animation to get out of the realistic stuff, right? Because you want to go into your imagination and go into a different world. So that's what I really liked about animation. So that's why I kind of was more drawn towards stylized and cartoony animation. Even now, when working on this mobile game, which I can't talk about at the moment, but it's very stylized and simple. It's a bit too simple for what I've been doing, but it's the people are nice, the company's nice. It's a good opportunity for senior roles, so we'll see how long it goes. But yeah, that's the other question here. I did like, sorry, yeah, I did like. I didn't find it as challenging. The only things I found challenging about the Lego was they were a bit restricted and ratings. Sometimes we do like funny animations that wouldn't pass ratings because they were not suitable for kids playing games and stuff, which I thought was funny. Like. What else have you done 2D animation? Did you want to work in games when you started, or did you think you would end up doing? I always had this idea of games. Yeah, 2D. I did a little bit of 2D animation mentor using a software called Monkey Jam. It's not really my strong points. I'd like to. One of the things I want to do is learn how to draw a bit better. I can do gesture drawing and stuff, but I really want to start doing anatomy and trying to learn better. And that's one thing I would recommend. A lot of my teachers, and when I had a teacher in the States, the mentor said it's good to do anatomy, because when you know the body as an animator, when you know the body and you understand like the volume of the body, the weight and everything. So drawing is really good because you have the poses, you have to draw poses which are balanced. And that's the same thing with animation. When you're animating, you have to make sure everything's balanced. And the same thing goes with like photography too, because all the arts are kind of linked. Because if you look at photographers talk a lot about like negative space, positive space. They want to make sure the model is posed properly. There's gaps between the arms, this and that. And that's exactly the same thing we do in animation when we're posing a character. We want to make sure there's a clear silhouette. It reads properly to the audience. The camera's in the right place. You're telling a good story. The storytelling's, it's like you got to be like a jack of all trades. But that kind of comes as you start animating. All these things when you animate, you think about arcs, you think about silhouette, you think about pose appeal. All these will start coming in when you start doing it. So don't worry too much at the start. It's not intimidating. You just learn as you go. It took me about 5-6 years to get the fact that everything is the bouncing ball. Even though I was animating here and there, but it took me about 5-6 years to actually get used to, all right, I'm enjoying animation now. But because there's so many great schools out there and you're having these, great talks and careers weeks, we can show you how to cut that time and give you a direct line to, so you're not wasting time learning and faffling around. So let's check this other question out. That's all right, Dom. Cheers, mate. That was a great breakdown. Continue from it. Is it best to show reels in rendered engine or aiming for animation? It doesn't really matter, because they just want to see your animation skills. Now in Maya's pretty good for. I don't know if you heard of viewport. You can use viewport where you can add like motion capture and stuff. Motion blur, slight motion blur, so it looks like a render. So I wouldn't waste time rendering, because when I've looked at show reels for interviews and stuff, a lot of the leads and seniors, and we don't look at the render, we look at the animation. But what I would say is, if you want a good animation reel, just make sure you got, because if you look at YouTube videos, the first 5 minutes, what does it do? A good video a YouTuber would grab you, right? You grab your attention straight away. and he'll leave you with wanting more near the end. So that's the same thing I think with show reels as well. You want to put your best work, you want to put all your best work out there, but you want to put your very best at the start, so you grab the attention, and then you want to put the very best at the end, so you're wanting them, so they're yearning for more. And in between, obviously, you got your good work there as well. It's not going to be not good, but you want to keep it short and sweet, because if you imagine they have a pile, like when I was applying, they had piles of DVDs. I have to go through each one. Okay, now it's probably got loads of emails. So they want to click on an email and straight away they want to be grabbed because they've got so many show reels to go through. So that's something to keep in mind. That's what I'm doing this summer. I've been spending weeks here trying to build my drawing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, always draw. Keep a sketchbook on you and always draw. Yeah, this guy's really good, Sir Wade. He left DreamWorks. But yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, if you want to know, I don't know if you guys have heard of Skillshare. I've got like a whole. I mean, this is. I'm not just. I don't want to say this to promote, but you can literally register on here for 2 weeks, get the course for free, and delete. You can check my course out here, but you can literally basically game course. It's got everything, like all these other courses on that you can learn from. Here it's like 2 weeks, you can literally just watch everything and unsubscribe. You won't get charged. But I'm not trying to promote that, but I'm just saying this there, and you can have it for free. Really, it doesn't. And there's a YouTube channel where I talk about this as well. But you can just you can learn from there. What other questions have we got? Yeah, this guy's really good. I have a friend of mine who did animation mentor with me, and Neddy, and he worked at DreamWorks for 12 years, and he never got promoted there. And now he's a Pixar animator at senior animator at Pixar. And he said the difference between DreamWorks, sorry, I'm just going a bit off it. The difference between DreamWorks is you had to go through so many people to get feedback. But in Pixar, it was just him and the director. That's it. Which he found so much better, so much easier. But he just finished working on Buzz Lightyear, and I'm going to be doing another course about lip syncing, like proper though. And he's going to give me some feedback on that. So look out for that. I'll post it on here for you guys as well, so you guys can check that out too. What if I don't want to just be a games animator? What if I want to be a cartoonist? Okay, if you want to, a lot of people, what happens is they start off in games as a stepping stone. And games is good because you have to learn about body mechanics. In a way, it is a bit harder because to learn about body mechanics, learn where the weight is. You got to make sure that the character's pose reads in 3D all the way around. And you got to make sure that the gameplay is good too. When you first start in animation in games, you get very attached to your animations because you want it to look good, you want it to go back into idle, this and that. But then over the years, when you start thinking like a game developer, you realize it's more to do with the user experience rather than the animation. So for example, when you do a jump, don't put an anticipation in. You have an anticipation pose, which just shoots up into a jump because it's good for gameplay. And then as you're coming up and coming down, there's a breakout phase, so you get into a run, land run kind of blend. So all these things to take into account. And I realize this later, but if you can get that mindset in early, if you're going into games, not to get too attached to your work and think of it as a gameplay point of view, it's a good way to kind of get into the industry. You can start off as a body mechanic. If you can get the body mechanics right, then the thing with acting and cartoon and Pixar is it's a lot to do with your emotions, right? You're acting everything out. So you got to bring that to the table. And when a director gives you a shot to do, always think about, like as animators, when we're living every day, we're going out, it could be anywhere, coffee shop, where have you. Look at everything and take it in. For example, a director might say, "Oh, I want to do a scene where two people are at a date at a coffee shop." You might have gone to your local coffee shop and seen a first date happening, so you can recall that, kind of memory recall that, and put it in your work. And then you can kind of think about, all right, when you first went on a first date, and then you go to, how did you feel? Then you put that into your work, and that's what's going to make your work unique rather than using cliche stuff all the time. So one of the teachers told me to always try and build a library and draw from that library. That's why it's good to have a book with you, because you can capture gestures and poses. So So yeah, you can do Pixar. You can do like feature stuff too, and you can start in games and do feature. There's a lot of my mentors did that too, and it's the same, like body mechanics you're learning. But the only difference is you're animating on a 2D screen, so it's not 3D like games. So in a way, it's good because then you can just focus on what the camera sees, and that's it. And then the rest is just acting, emotions, and stuff like that. There was an acting course I went to in LA for 12 weeks, acting for animation, and they talk about the difference between actors and animators is with actors they got to act that emotion out right there on the screen when the director says action, right? But with animators we get the feedback from the directors of how he wants the character to be, and then we basically can draw all this reference from everywhere, put it together, we can act out ourselves and then put it out, right? And if we do mess up, no one's going to know. But if an actor messes up on the screen, right, everyone knows about it. So there's a little difference there. But yeah, you can do it. But I would say you can do either one, games or Pixar. But the difference is games is body mechanics, sorry, and Pixar is more. It's got body mechanics and obviously acting in that as well. So let's check out the other questions. Where do you get the references for moves when the movement is unrealistic? For example, Devil May Cry. Yeah, my friend worked on Devil May Cry when we was at Ninja Theory. What it is, you can go to reference libraries online or even on YouTube. And the best thing to do is like all these films, like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, all these kind of films that have these kicks in the air and stuff. You don't have to stick to one reference. So you can get one reference and add them all together. So I normally search on YouTube, and most of the time when you animate for a long time, you kind of get a feel. You can get a feel of like attacks in the air. So you could do like a combo in the air, and it's basically the same combo on the floor, but you're just jumping in the air, holding it for a few seconds, doing the combos, and then coming back down. The references, I guess, it's one of those where you use from your imagination, and there's some stunt men, there's some street jumpers, that you can check out, and you basically combine them together, get what you like that you want to show. That's the only best way I've done it. Cartoon series, stylized series. Just look at stuff that is more out of this world, more imaginary, and then just put them together. Any little thing that inspires me, that's what I do. I have a library of files, and I have all these movie clips, and I just edit them together if I'm doing like a long sequence or a fight sequence. But now that I've done it for so long, I can pretty much do stuff that's in the air, stylized, fight combos, just planning the thumbnails and just using some reference. Hope that answered your question, XR. Excuse me, I'm just drinking some. I'll send you some more links. Here's some schools I reckon that you guys probably know of. Also, this school is pretty good too. Schoolism. They have like for drawings. A lot of these people are from. All of these guys are from Pixar, DreamWorks. They work there, and they're not that bad. They're like $900, $1,000. You know what? A lot of these courses are very cheaper. I would say they're all cheaper than uni. Uni fees are really high, right, at the moment. So if I had to, like, for example, when Animation Mentor, like I would think it was about a couple of grand more than when I did my master's. So it wasn't that much back then. But I would highly recommend, like, if you want to do these courses, just be familiar with Maya. Because what I saw is that a lot of new people went to Animation Mentor and they were wasting a lot of time learning Maya, because there's such a wealth of information on there in animation, and it's a shame because they're spending all that money, they're not fully getting that. I had an advantage because I was using Maya for about 3 years before I started Animation Mentor, so I was very comfortable with it, and I had a little basic knowledge of animation, not like a lot, but when I went into Animation Mentor, something clicked for me there. Schoolism's really good. What's this? Also, let me send you this. Let me read this question. Do you recommend doing a school course over YouTube? I mean, I would recommend. Like, I spent a lot of money on Animation Mentor, and basically I wanted to teach what they taught me, because I to be honest, I found it a bit unfair, man, the amount of money it is now. And I normally go to these schools in Manchester where it's like underprivileged kids, and I try and train them and give them these courses for free, because I think everyone should have a chance to learn, you know, from where I learned. So that's where I stand on it. But if you can afford it to do it, Animation Mentor, I highly recommend it. It's a brilliant course, and they've got some creature courses on there and other ones. It's definitely worth it. I would say that it's better to do the school course like Animation Mentor online. Then there are some great tutorials on YouTube and Skillshare as well. Don't get me wrong. You got working professionals and a Skillshare tutorial. All right, I've been to people have been to like anim schools and stuff, and they're sharing their knowledge too. But you're getting one-to-one Skillshare and tutorial and YouTube tutorials. It's very much where the video's out there and that's it. But the school animation school has support system there for you, and the main thing the Animation Mentor is all about is community. So even though you're there at school, it's good. Like on Animation Mentor, we have to post our work every week, and then we have to comment. So what I would do, I'd post my work, and every time I post my work, I promised myself I would go to 20 workspaces and comment on other people's work. Now that will build a community, and they come back to your workplace, and then they will give feedback on your work. Mentors would give you feedback. So you got that community there, and everyone. That's why everyone gets better all the time. And then once a week, you get a video feedback from your mentor, and you have changes to make. Then you upload, and then the community gives you feedback again. So really, it's a good way of networking, because when you network, which is so important in this industry, it's a small industry and everyone knows each other. But if you're going to do Animation Mentor or any of these schools, really take advantage of the networking as well, because that's where these people are probably going to be people that are going to give you your jobs. And it's unfortunate, but it is through recommendation sometimes. They're trying to make it a bit more fairer. You got to understand is a lot of competition as well when I started, and the artists are much more better now as well. So it's much more harder to break through, but focus on yourself. Don't worry about the competition. Focus on your work, and the competition will start worrying about you, I would say. And then networking is very good too. So try and network. And when I lived in San Diego, I went to Comic-Con like 3 years in a row, because it was literally like right next to my doorstep. And I would network there a lot. You know, I made a lot of good friends there as well, who were in the artist alley. So this is like a networking festival that you can go to. GDC, I went to about 3 years in a row, which was really good. If you can try and go there, because everyone comes there. E3 is brilliant as well. SIGGRAPH is good, but SIGGRAPH is more technical advances. But there are animation stuff. The Animax in Teesside, when I used to go Teesside, I don't go there as much, but Annecy in France, obviously, and Bradford Film Festival. There's loads more out there. You had the one in Brighton recently, the Careers Fair and everything. Would you recommend to start 2D animation background before starting 3D? 2D, yeah. If you got a good understanding of 2D, they say the principles. It's just a good foundation. I never had that. I went straight to 3D, but I don't know. It's one of those. Some people transition better. Like one of my mentors, Kevin Koch, he was a 2D animator at DreamWorks, and he transitioned really well onto 3D. Some people, like one of my friends, struggled quite a bit when we were doing the masters. So I think because she was doing too much 2D, the technical side kind of scared her a bit. But if you're comfortable with Maya and learning Maya in the software, yeah, if you can get good 2D skills, anatomy, animation, it will all add to your understanding. So it's just a good foundation. So I would recommend that, definitely. Just trying to see what else I got here for you. Any other questions? Just trying to think what else I can. Are you guys all graduates then, or are you graduating this year? Next year, yeah. 2 years. Oh, that's good. You've got time. It's my first year. Okay. Second year is when the degree is made. Oh, you guys are still there. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you guys got. In this meantime, I would just continue going to the network festivals wherever they are in this country. Really try and take the time and travel out to network with people because people remember your face. I know, and like your aura and your personality. I know it's all online now, but if you can go and meet people, it makes a difference too. Okay, yeah, graduated last. Congratulations, Hannah. Graduated second year. Nervous about third. Don't be nervous. You've done it. Your second year is the one where you make the degree. The third year is just the final project, so you'll be fine. Don't worry. I graduated last year. Oh, you graduated. Oh, congratulations, Dom. Yeah, don't worry. Don't be disheartened with not getting a job straight away. Because, when I was at GDC, I remember there was a massive line on Blizzard, in the Blizzard stand. People wanted to work there, right? Now, I've got a couple of friends who work there, and I applied there too. And my other friend who had a 15 years experience in environment art, he never got the job. I never got it. But it was more because they want to see if you're interested in the game more than if you're a good animator. That's just how their culture is. They want to see if you're like proper into their games. But don't feel disheartened, because I remember when I first graduated, I didn't get work for 9 months. And trust me, it's normal. All in that time, you got all that time to work on your skills. So keep doing that. Keep doing little exercises every week as an animator. Do little breakdown exercises. Get one pose, get another pose, and find out how many ways that character can get from one pose to the other. So there's millions of ways it can do that, right? So just do little exercises like that will build your confidence up. Always remember about the bouncing ball. Send what I'll do on my Dropbox. I'll send a link to Lauren. I'll put my full course on there for free so you guys can check it out and just have it, yeah. So you can download it. I'll send you a link, Lauren, to the course. It's a Maya Fundamentals animation course. So just keep it to yourselves, guys. You know how it is, but I'll send it to you guys. Yeah? Just remind myself to write a note down. And I've updated it a bit today too. So Dropbox. Any other questions? Sorry if I sound a bit stuffy. I've caught something, man. So I'm just a bit blocked nose and sore throat and all that. But yeah. Oh no, you're welcome, man. You guys, I'm all right, man. We're troopers. We get through. Yeah, I know how it feels when you first start animation. You get frustrated, but don't worry. You got to push through that frustration, and it's a learning curve. Yeah, steep one, but once you get over it, it's fun. Initially, it's always like that. Everything's difficult, right? In the start, you say to yourself it's difficult, but yeah, everything's difficult in the start. Then it gets better. Oh, from develop, yeah. I was about to go there. I didn't go there. Thank God. Is any other questions? Anything at all? I mean, it doesn't have to be animation. How can we reach mentors? You can reach out to me anytime, man. LinkedIn, on Discord. You let me know. I'll do my best. I will give you my time, man. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's not a problem. And if you want me to recommend, once you graduate, I don't know if any of you are interested in Lego games, but I do have some contacts there, and I can always I do get along with the recruiter there, so I can always recommend your work there as well. Do you think I would have opportunities by doing so? What project do you think helped you develop your skills the most? I've been in games design for my... Sorry, I'm just reading. I've been in games design for my first year, but I'm wondering if I could switch to game art or anime. Yeah, you can switch. A lot of people do that. Like even Q&A. For when you don't have a degree, you come in as a Q&A. A lot of people build their careers that way, and that's fine too. The only thing with Q&A is, a lot of people wait a bit too long. I can't remember one Q&A. I was waiting there for about 7-8 years, and it just wasn't working. So it does make sense to try and do a course in a discipline you like. But it's a plus for you that you've been a game designer and now you want to get into game art and animation because you know how it all works. So that's brilliant. So yeah, you can always change. I was an environment artist at Ninja Theory, and then I changed to animation. Did environment art for about 6 months. Then I changed. Then I started working with a designer doing like mock-up animations. So definitely don't ever limit yourself at all. Because a lot of the times we're told at 18, yeah, you have to know this, you have to know this. No, some of the most interesting people I know don't know what they want to do with their lives at 20, 35, or even 40. So people have these changes. So like I've gone through like console to like mobile now, so there's a bit of change there. I've been doing console for like 15, 16 years now. I'm doing mobile. So these little changes, you can definitely do that. You can definitely switch to game art and animated. Yeah. What project? What project do you think helped me a lot? For me, my first company, Ninja Theory, because there were some really great animators there, and it just made me. It really humbled me because when you graduate, you think you know everything, right? And then when I walked into that studio, these guys were just like you just realize that these guys were pros, and there was two. One of my friends was like he had the attitude where, oh, I might as well give up now. But I was like, are you kidding me? You're surrounded by this much talent. You want to learn from that. So I just learned from it. And there's one guy there, animator Ricky Wood. I think he works at the States now. He became a good friend of mine, and he gave me feedback on my show reel, and that show reel got me the job to the States. So, you know, it's all being around people who are better than you, and you get up to that level too. So surround yourself with people who are better than you. There's a book. There's a famous book people quote a lot. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Right? You're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. So you're gonna hang around, with undisciplined people. Then you're gonna end up being like that, isn't it? It's the crowd you keep. So if you're around people who are striving and better than you at your art, it will get you up to that level quicker. What's this? What project? Sorry, help me. Yeah, the first one, Lego helped me a lot in terms of getting animations done quickly. We had 1 week to do all the animation sets, so getting them done quickly at a decent level, because the animation is time is quality for animation. In 1 week, you can only do so much. So it was good. It was a good standard we got to, but obviously at the end of the project, we had some time to polish. Sometimes we never did. Do you think? Yeah, I limit myself because I'm a major overthinker, which while good for my art really inhabits my ability to figure out what else am I know, man. I know, Hannah, this is you're not alone, man. A lot of people, it's also tied into overthinking, procrastinating, stuff like that. The only thing I could say is if you try all these things out, wherever's your inner voice is saying, try it out, and there will be one thing that you really like out of all of them and enjoy. That's the thing that you should go. That I think you should kind of more be inclined to. So you're trying. You're in your 20s. Like I look back. I'm 40 now. Yeah, I look back at my life. In my 20s, that's when you're building all your skills. So you're trying all these different things, and then you're kind of near your late 20s. You're honing down on something that you really love, and then for your 30s, you're mastering all that. So if you can find something really quickly, that's even great. But play around a bit. Don't be afraid. Don't think like, oh, I don't want. Should I do this? Should I do that? Go with your feeling. Like, what are you enjoying the most? What are you, when you wake up? What do you most look forward to doing? And try out, dab in all these things. And then you'll find one which you're more inclined to. And then for me, it was animation. I was just, even though I'm environment art, I used to sit in the studio and I used to always turn my head around, look at the animation team, and I would always be like sad looking at them and like. I would go over to them and see what they're doing and ask them questions, just not because I wanted to animate. So yeah, and I haven't lost that love yet for animation. It's still there. I'm a great fan of Ninja. Yeah, and I would love to break into that type of studio. How can I apply to the studio? Okay, for Ninja is really good. So what Ninja Theory do is they've got, I don't know if they've got it now, but they have internships. So they get about 6 people in, house them. So they've got their own house and everything. And you perform and they pick, I think, 2 or 3 out of the 6. So that's a good way. And again, if you've got work for that, I went to Cambridge last year with my wife because we're thinking of moving back there. I wanted to show my wife and my little daughter, and I said to my wife, this is so funny you mentioned Ninja Theory. I said to her, I bet we're going to meet Tamim, the creative director there, right? And I was walking with my daughter in the pram, and he was right in front of me. And we chatted, we caught up, and he was saying there's animation roles there, we can work from home. So I've got contacts there if you'd like me to send something to you there. That's not a problem. They are brilliant, you know. They're not independent anymore. They got bought out by Microsoft, but I think that's what they're one company that deserved it. Because when we started, I remember they all remortgaged their houses. They really had faith in the project, and it just shows when you've created a company and it's creating game after game, right? It had Enslaved, it had Devil May Cry, it had what's that what was that game? It was like a punk kind of blade, something. It had Hellblade. Was another one. There's another one, colorful, very colorful. I forgot what it was, but yeah, they had a whole series of great titles. And eventually, they got bought out by Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft was going to buy them anyway. So think of your games like you guys are all students. If you guys can make a company, and I always recommend this because when I was in San Diego, I don't know if you heard of Ralph Bashki. He's an animator, 2D animator, and he did the first Lord of the Rings live and animated feature. I think he got to 2000, then he kind of stopped. And I was in the room listening to his speech, and he literally said, "I have no respect for all you guys. You guys want to." This is what he said, not me. He said, "You guys want to graduate, work for Pixar, and whatever you." Because why don't you all get together, 5, 6 of you, work in your dad's garage, mum and dad's garage, on pizza for 1 year, make a game or film? Because it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Do that, and then put that out to the world. You guys have that opportunity. Like I mentioned in one of the chats about, if you got a spare room there somewhere where you can get 5 or 6 computers, just make little departments, programming, animation, and just build games and stuff. That's probably what, when I look back, I would like to do. How much time? From scratch, how much time will it take to build a character animation portfolio? I would say if you're learning from scratch, like Animation Mentor, you're looking at what, 18-month course can get you a decent, with the right mentors, can get you a decent animation portfolio. The portfolio is all about, when you do your animations, the problem is, getting those right people to see your work and giving you feedback, right? And the thing about the course I've done on Skillshare is I'm trying to teach in-game animation the way it's taught, the way I'm working at the studio. So, like I'll have a take it animation. I'll have a, what do you call it? Run animation, walk animation. These are the type of things they want to see. That's what I'm trying to teach on my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And other people are too. So I would say it takes about, if you were to school, it'll take you about a year to 18 months to get all the feedback and everything like Animation Mentor. But yeah, I hope that answered your question, Rajid. Any other questions? Recommend some more books. There's some drawing books that I can recommend. Let me see if I got some here. There's some. There's a drawing book here by Andrew Loomis. He's meant to be really good as well, drawing the heads and stuff. Try and get that link for you. Drawing has always been kind of the head. Drawing has always been kind of emphasized a lot in animation. It's all about building that foundation. Let me just put the link in here. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, that's animation. Well, the only thing I can say about animation is learning that concept of the bouncing ball is very important. Posing, staging, silhouettes, timing, spacing. As an animator, you have to cover a lot of things. So, is the camera working to the character? Is it clear to the audience? Is it telling the right story that you want it to tell? There's so many things. You've got to think about cinematography as well, staging. So it's kind of like you're in a way. But as you animate, you start to you got to think about the arcs as well of the character, the hips and what have you. Everything moves organically, so you got to think of these things. Unless it's a robot, but all these things you will naturally start. It will start being second nature to you when you start doing it. Any other questions? Anything at all? It doesn't have to be animation related. It could be something else as well. Applying for jobs or interview. What I would say about interviews, yeah, is just be yourself. You know. Yes, I would say once I started. Do you enjoy your job? Yes, I do enjoy my job. Once I started to get how to animate, it was much more fun. You know, when I realized the concept of bouncy ball, and you know, it was much more fun. I wasn't bashing my head against the wall. Don't get me wrong. There are times where you're at work and there's certain things like when you graduate. Just remember, when you graduate, be prepared for a little bit of disappointment because you won't be working on the stuff you want to work on. When you're working now in university, you're working on your own projects, and that's all good. You're calling the shots. You're the director of your own short film. Just remember, when you go into the world, you're working on that other person's dream. You're trying to get his vision or her vision, and that's a skill in itself. Trying to picture the game director or director's vision. So it's an art. If you can do that, that's good too, because you got to understand. You got to leave the ego out as well sometimes. Well, especially in art, when you get feedback, and when you get too attached to your work, sometimes it can be your own hindrance on you because you're not improving. Senior animator is giving you feedback. Like for me in Ninja Theory, I just took the feedback because I looked at their work and I knew what these guys were doing. So try and just get rid of the ego and just go in as an open book and learn as much as you can off people around you. You will know when you see the work. You'll know which animators are really good, and you just ask questions. Be curious. Never stop asking questions, and always keep learning. I would say they're the best things. So yeah, I enjoy my work, but it's like every other work. Like I was at Lego for 12 years, and by 3-4 years, everyone was. I mean, there was articles out about Lego, right? Every week, literally last year, every week someone was leaving. 2 people were leaving every week, and since January, so many people left, and yeah, it was just time to move on. There's only so much Lego you can animate. But yeah, I feel much better here because it's a new project and it's a different format, which I've never done, mobile gaming. It's good. All right, guys, we call it a day there. You can always chat to me online directly, any work or anything, any feedback like that. No worries, mate. Thank you for letting me know and inviting me.